drain it.
Sorry about that. I had an
The thing about sensitive
interruption.
it has to be to drain just right. And if you come in and break all those tiles up and then reset them, it's like a bunch of broken bones. They're not going to set very well, especially with that small of a difference of grade. So,
and then what, I guess my main question is about the watersheds, and what concerns did you hear about this pipeline coming over the watershed systems, and are the farmers aware of that?
I had many people who were concerned about water or the pipeline coming near their well, because if it would break, their well would be shot. I talked to a guy who did tiling for a living and had done it for 20, 30 years in Cherokee County. He made a really good point. I had to research this some more, but the pipeline is generally running 4 to 8 feet underground. Yet when it comes to a river, whether it's the Big Sioux, the Little Sioux, actually across the Missouri twice, with the Des Moines, crosses the Skunk twice too, it's going to have to dip quite a bit to go under the river. And then it's going to have to come back up again. So you've got these joints. And joints are where you've got, that's where a lot of our weaknesses are too, right? And the pipeline running north-south across Iowa is corroded. That's why it's not being used. And the most sensitive points of a pipe would be joints. You get the oil running through there, and that's where you're likely to see a break, I think. And of course, where that is under our water supply. So
A lot of people are saying, well, it's safer. I mean, there's an argument out there that I think we've all heard, that it's safer than actually sending it out of here by train.
Well, there's two flaws with that. One is there's no commitment from the railroad companies to transport less oil by train. They're going to be just moving just as much as ever. What might happen is they might find safer type of containers to
double walled train cars is
who knows?
yeah.
But all this is doing is increasing capacity, and the pipeline. If a train blows up in your town, that sucks to be you. But if a pipe breaks on your, in the case of that wheat farmer in North Dakota, I mean, his farm is ruined.
Yeah, Mayflower, Arkansas, prime example.
7 football fields, and it's
And the
already.
pipeline people didn't catch it as they.
No, he caught it.
He caught it.
Yeah,
But
they-
did they have these regulatory? Because when I went to a meeting, they said, well, we have these regulatory, these systems that we'll know within 3 days.
Yeah,
Well, how much oil can leak in 3 days?
a lot. I mean, 1,400 pounds per square inch coming to this pipeline.
Ooh.
It's a lot of pressure. It's pushing pretty fast.
So it's not like if it'll leak, it when it leaks.
And how bad?
And is there really any such thing as like cleanup? I mean, people say, well, it costs so much to clean it up, but do they ever clean it actually up? And
there are 25 families in Mayflower, Arkansas, who
Yeah.
who had to move. That's how effective that was.
They put paper towels on it.
Well, I don't know about that.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
$250,000.
they cleaned it up, but still, it's I mean, Exxon Valdez is not finished. That's
Oh, no.
20 years ago. It's still not finished.
So it takes a couple lifetimes to clean up.
Yeah.
It really depends on a lot of factors, but.
The Gulf is still, there's still oil loose in the Gulf, coming up on the beaches.
So where are we now with the energy partners, and what is this process going to now? Because I haven't been to a meeting.
Well, they're out trying to get people to sign up, sign easements, and for us, we're trying to get the landowners who don't want to sign easements or have questions on the support and information we need to make more responsible decisions, and then there's the legislation, which if that passes would have an impact on the whole process. So.
If the majority of people do sign on with the group, Code Access, does that put more pressure on whether the eminent domain would work? If, say, you had 60% of the people, does that make it easier for them to then enforce eminent domain on the other 40?
No, if it's only 60%, that would be a pretty huge. That's almost divided, In Nebraska, there's 90% of the people there that are signed, and there's still 10% that are resisting, and that's
And as for the KXL?
we can see
Musical
better
chairs.
than whatever,
I
right?
love it.
Okay, it doesn't mean
Then we're not in the way.
Oh, yeah. I see enough of him anywhere.
Next.
How many days? So farmers are actually being offered, and some have even been given money for these easements.
Yeah.
But it's not passed yet. So how does that work if it doesn't pass? What happens to that money? Do those farmers have to pay that money back?
No, they're told they get to keep it. I suspect that's true.
Oh.
But see, when you're worth $6 billion, like the head of the company is, you can blow a few $100 million, and if it doesn't pan out, you're worth a few $100 million.
Huh.
Imagine being able to say that with a few $100 million.
Keep the change.
Thinking those kind of terms.
I mean, it's a business risk, you know. You lay your money out and hope for the best. But
Well, what is the cost? Give us a rough estimate on how much these farmers are being bought off.
the starting price is $6,000 an acre, but nobody has settled for that little. There are people who settled for 10 or 15 or even 18,000, but there are also a couple that have settled for 30 and 35,000. So it's all over the board, and there are people who are finding that out and complaining about it because it doesn't seem fair. And part of that, I think part of what the company has going for it is people don't tend to talk to each other. I mean, I met people who didn't know what their neighbors were doing. You know, I was sharing more information with some people. Actually, I was at a meeting in Lyon County, and it was the only meeting that supervisors showed up for. I had 3 supervisors show up, 3 county supervisors. And they looked pretty grand. They were just kind of sitting down in the end there. They weren't really saying much. They were trying to just keep their distance. But I just asked the rest, I said, do you have any questions or comments? And one of them says, well, I learned a heck of a lot more at this meeting than I have at any other meeting. So apparently what I had to share was information that was new to them, too. You know, I didn't get that from the pipeline company.
Aren't there companies asking if people sign a contract if they can't talk about it?
No, I don't think that's the case. I think they can talk about it. I mean, I had people show me their contracts. And, I mean, I never asked, well, how much did they pay you? That didn't seem like it would be my place to ask. But the times that I was told, they just offer that information. So, I don't think it's like a legal action where you win a lawsuit and you're not allowed by law to talk about it.
Yeah, no gag order.
Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, with a sense of propriety and just privacy, some people were not inclined to talk about it. But.
Is there a price that was given on how much a pipeline would devalue their land?
That's a really good question, and there's no doubt that it would. You know, nobody's property was ever improved with a pipeline running through it, but it's hard to know how much. Maybe there's something out there, but I haven't found it yet. Great question, though. And it might depend. It might depend on a lot of factors, where it goes, what kind of features or qualities of the property it disrupts.
And how many years of growth of topsoil and crop growth will it affect?
Well, the topsoil, you know, they say, the company says they're trying to pull the topsoil aside and then dig into the clay and then put the topsoil back. And maybe, you know, you never do that as well as nature did it.
There's more to it than
Yeah.
topsoil.
Oh, yeah.
The organisms and all that.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
you have to take time to.
But they compensate for, I think, I've heard as much as 3 or 5 years of crop loss. But it's always, they'll give you more the first year, less the second year, less the third year. But the problem is there are people who have had hot pipelines. I mean, the oil pipeline is hot, it's emanating heat. The oil in there is at a temperature of about 75 degrees. And there are people who've had pipelines running through their land for a long time who say, you know, I'm one guy, 51 years, and he was put in 1963, and he says, I still have crop loss along that pipeline. But, you know, so there are some people arguing, well, if the pipeline company is going to do this, they need to compensate us every single year. But the pipeline company is not willing to do that, of course.
So it's they want to transport crude oil at this point. But what are the chances of actually being tar sands being transported?
Well, I think it's a very, very good chance because there's a limited supply in the Bakken Reserve in North Dakota, and the tar sands region is the size of New York State. And once they get it up to close to the Canadian border in North Dakota, I don't think it'll be very hard. It'll be a lot simpler politically to make that final leap into
The Alberta tar sands oil field is huge.
Yeah, it's big.
So, go ahead. Jen, you have a question?
They can,
Well, just and this will, just while we're on this pipeline they're building is how the
30 inches?
30 inches. Now, how do you? Crude oil is one thing, which is already hard enough to transport, but tar sands in a 30-inch pipe, is that just? That doesn't even seem possible.
Well, that's a good question. I need to learn more about the distinct differences between Bakken and tar sands. I've heard there's differences, but I don't know what they are.
I mean, it seems like it's the difference between putting pudding or Play-Doh, through something, and the quality of the pipeline, and it's a whole different type of design, I would think, to transport tar sands. But I guess what I'm saying is, what I heard is, if you can get the pipeline approved, they could put actually anything through it. It doesn't limit it to being even tar sands. They could put toxic anything through that eventually. Is that?
I've heard that once you sign the easement, they have a lot of flexibility. Who was it I was talking to yesterday, 2 days ago, who was saying a lawyer who studied the easement. The easement is like so lopsided. It's so much in the pipeline company's interest without considering a lot of the landowner concerns. So,
I was just thinking in terms of precedence. The Alaska pipeline's been open for generations. Are there incidents or is there data as to how the Alaska pipeline has affected the population or the land or whatever it is around it over the past several generations?
I'm not sure.
Well, it seems like that would be a model for to see all the, if there's going to be all of these yabbits and what ifs and all these concerns and all of these projections of catastrophe and all of that, it's not like we don't have any precedents that have been set that are quite extensive and cover a lot of territory.
A big difference, of course, is the Alaska pipeline is, I believe, above ground.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is. Most of it is. But I would think there would be enough parallels in terms of issues that that would be still a model for in many ways. So I didn't know whether that had been addressed, whether there's a heck of a lot going more in that world and in that precedent than is being publicized and people are aware of other than the public. I don't know.
Lots of new questions that I need to find time to work on.
I'm curious about what your views on nuclear power are.
I don't much like nuclear power, but that said, I'm told by people who I respect that there's some changes that you need to consider before you just write it off. So I just in the interest of being fair to science, I'm willing to hear what those developments are. But historically, what I know about nuclear power, I'm not a fan at all. Biggest question for me is, before you produce something that's risky, that's toxic, you got to know what you're going to do with the waste, and we've never had a good sense of what to do with the waste. How about you?
I'm generally pro.
In San Diego we have San Onofre, and up a little further than that we had San Luis Obispo. Efficiency-wise, nuclear power is a great resource. San Onofre's been shut down. It was shut down after, about 3 years ago. And since then, they found nothing but more and more troubles that had not been addressed prior to shutting it down. Because they were going to reopen it. And then it never got reopened at all, and it will not be reopened. And it's amazing. The areas that serviced that area, they still got bright lights and neon signs, so they're doing okay. However, it was it was economical and it was extremely efficient. But whether it was just a fluke or whether it was lack of proper maintenance or whatever, it did end up being a liability rather than something that was sustainable over another decade or so.
Well, I used to be a nuclear power plant operator in San Diego, actually.
In San Onofre?
No, in the Navy.
Oh, you're talking about an aircraft carrier or something? Or a
Submarine.
Submarine.
Yeah, the submarine,
I spent a lot of time
nuke
with
power.
submarines. Boomers.
Yeah, I think definitely the technology that is actually in place now and working, there are a lot of troubles. And the biggest one is what do you do with the waste? There's also a lot of newer innovations in the field that just haven't cleared regulations or haven't been deployed yet, that would overcome a lot of the flaws with what's out there now.
Waste is a huge thing. It's not. It's maybe one thing, but it kind of like covers it all with this. It's no way can it be successful or an option until we figure that one piece out. We can get it so it's very efficient. We can get it where it's economical. But if you can't deal with zero and have zero emissions and have it sustainable, it's a non-sustainable energy source when we can't figure out what to do with the waste. I feel.
But if the
Otherwise,
choice-
I agree with you.
If the choice comes down to fossil fuels or nuclear power, and insofar as solar and wind is still ramping up, I would choose nuclear power over fossil fuels.
Supposing there are nuclear power plants in Nepal,
Well,
Yeah.
supposing there was a nuclear power plant in Fukushima, affected by tsunami.
We're in California long.
Yeah.
Everything on California is along the fault line.
Yeah.
When I was an undergraduate at Stanford, I was taking geology courses. And what they would have us do is plot the San Andreas Fault, the Hayward Fault, and some of these others that were in that area. And then what we did totally separately from that is take acetate and we plotted all the fire departments, all the police departments, all the EMT groups, all of the first responders that were on there in terms of their location. We relocated that acetate over the fault line, and every one of them was right on top of the fault line. So the first thing that's going to go when the big one comes, and we don't know, but the first thing that's going to go are all the first responders, because they're all literally plotted right on top of the major fault lines there. So, oh my gosh, that included San Luis Obispo, the nuclear power station there, high schools and everything else. They actually took in Palo Alto, they actually had to destroy the high school and move it totally out of where it had been in Los Altos. Not Los Altos. One of those side areas there. I'll remember it later. Coquilla Valley or wherever it was. They had to move the entire high school because they were getting tremors, and the high school was literally right over the
straddled it?
fault itself. And so there is that sort of, yeah buts and what ifs when it comes, and that includes power plants or whatever. But I've never heard anybody be able to answer the question that I had, and that is, when they talk about solar power, they're also talking about killing raptors and every other kind of bird on the planet. Who wins that case? Is it PETA or is it the environmentalists?
No, wind.
Wind power,
It's the
excuse me.
turbines that.
Well, they're learning more and more about proper siting of those turbines, and even turning them off when there's an approaching flock of migratory birds.
That's got to be futuristic, because
No, it's coming. I just was reading about it this week.
I hope you're right.
Yeah.
Now, who's going to, if we were to diminish our fossil fuels as they are now and try to more and more depend on solar power, wind power, whatever else, how are you going to fly a 737 on that?
Well, I can't remember the name of the guy who has an airplane company right now that's flying on you know what I'm talking about? Is it biodiesel? He's doing something different for fueling his planes. I can't remember what it is now.
737,
I'm not
747,
sure.
passenger, commercial
I
airlines.
think so. Yeah, I need to. Look
I
at
haven't
that.
seen, never heard that.
Yeah.
I'd be glad
what's
to
his name?
read on it, but
Yeah. And they're also coming up with ways of fueling tractors that does not use fossil fuel. I always just say this. I think I'm a big bird guy. I have chickens, but you know, when it comes to when I compare the destruction of some birds or the risk of nuclear power versus what is happening with climate change due to fossil fuel, I'd go with any alternative at this point because it's just so bad.
I mean, in California, we can't get water in the south for the people because of the argument of our little Delta smelt.
What?
The Delta smelt.
What's that?
It's a little fish about the size of my finger. And they will not release water to Southern California because it might endanger the Delta smelt. So these arguments that come back and forth from environmentalists versus the person or the people, it all seems to be gets down to, you know, which end of the food chain am I on? Because you say, well, how could we possibly try to measure out which is more important and prioritize, whether it's what the people's use is versus the animals or whatever? I don't think we ought to be endangering an endangered species like the Delta smelt. But on the other hand, people livelihoods are being strained. On the other hand, on top of that, then what do you do about the raptors that are being killed in the windmills? And where are the windmills? They're up there in California. I drive by them every day.
It took us a couple days to walk through Desert Hot Springs where
Yeah.
there's so many wood turbines.
Yeah. You know how many birds are killed in that thing every
I
day?
didn't see any dead birds around me, but
Well, you might want to look closer.
yeah.
Because
We literally walked right under it. I couldn't believe how big they are. Well, we have them here in Iowa too.
you wouldn't
but
like
can't-
the statistics.
You can't get that close to them in Iowa because they're out in the fields, but right there you could literally walk right under them.
Some of them are close enough to the highways that you can get a good idea because, when I've gone to Nebraska with my sisters to visit relatives there, yeah, some of them are pretty darn close to the road, so you can really get a good idea of the size of it.
They're big, but
Yeah.
like I say, there is a major issue in the state of California with wind energy because of nothing else but that. Plus, you're tearing up the land and everything else that goes with it. But on the other hand, there are other members of the animal kingdom that are being jeopardized by that project. So there always, my only point is there's always a yin and there's always a yang. There's always a yeah but and a what if. They on the East Coast they wanted to do it, but Walter Cronkite sure didn't want it in his backyard, nor did the Kennedy family want it in their backyard out there. And so I just get frustrated because I get all the arguments, but it always turns down to what's in it for me before it's over. Follow the money if you're looking at the oil companies and that sort of thing. But on the other hand, some of the arguments for these alternative fuels aren't all that succinct or pristine either. When it comes to ethanol, there's a lot of discussion about not only how they're using up corn sources, not only are they using the fact that it costs more, not only are they talking about the concept that it leaves more emissions than the gasoline.
Yeah, so ethanol's getting
Where's
better.
the true though?
It'll get better still as they start using perennials, but corn farmers don't want to say that.
I guess you have to kind of go with the lesser of two weevils.
Weevils
Well, but that all depends on which weevil you own, It's-
or smell.
Of course, in California, there's another issue with the Nestle water bottling plant is not subject to the conservation restrictions that are in place in Southern California, like residents and other smaller businesses are. But no, that water plant, they can take all the water they want, and heck with the rest of everybody else in that part of the state.
And the almond farmers and some of these characters that are
How
sucking.
many gallons of water does it take to grow an almond? I guess what I feel is that my overall thing is the Earth is heating up, and the oceans are also heating up. And what is the solution to get the Earth to start cooling down and stop this heat? And yeah, we can't do it perfectly, but I think that is, we've got to, what confuses me is that we are not clear that the earth is heating up. People aren't believing it, and so we can't we are fighting each other versus the actual problem. And that's what's hurts my soul more than anything. It's like, we have proof that the earth and the oceans at the same time are heating up. And why is that something that we should risk being right about? How could you,
I have, just to wrap up.
No, you need to solve this tonight. We're not letting you
I
out of here.
have a 3-minute documentary I could show you. A trailer, right? It's a trailer to a documentary that'll come out next year. This may be one of the best things to come out of the Climate March.
Yeah,
You're pointing to Nebraska? Yeah. And then there's also, I have a 6-minute slideshow, 5 or 6 minute slideshow of just segments from the march that I could show. Would anybody like to see either or both of those?
I have not seen the trailer yet. I would definitely.
I just have my computer, so you're gonna have to cozy up and gather around.
Oh dear.
Yeah,
It'll get hot.
yeah, no screen, no big screen to watch.
No big screen. So let me show the.
That's okay. I'm just gonna grab some more popcorn while he sets up.
That's what it looked like when I was dedicated.
Get rid of my drink one. So I'm just popping in here to what you can.
I don't know why it's not. Showed it earlier, didn't I, Tom?
Oh yeah, you had it up and it sounded like it played good.
You were a preacher in Iowa for a while?
No, I wasn't in Iowa, I was in California.
California, Illinois. I never just said you had been.
Well, I was here, but not as a.
I just sort of wonder if we knew some of the same people. Oh. Like Jerry Godwin.
I haven't been here in 26 years.
People like to see the slideshow first?
But I was
And a lot of things have changed since then.
even when I was.
Okay.
Oh, I see. You look familiar to me.
This is a slideshow from the march I put together. It needs some help, but
Cartoons.
I thought it was on a post office bulletin board.
Yeah. That's a little more
His
right.
screen is pretty small, so it might be difficult to show that.
people see that?
We have a gallery.
I mean, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I pushed this chair so someone can sit if.
She says I need.
Oh, there's a.
LA.
Is this some
My
March?
tent.
Yeah, last year.
We didn't get the trailer up? Next, okay. Oh, I operated those. I have to give you a picture of me cooking brownies.
Solar collector.
That's our solar collector. We powered all of our phones and computers
I'd
with.
be more impressed when that 737 takes off.
Had to tell Tesla to get on an electric plane.
You read it, son.
Running up and down Tinseltown with the fire inside of me. My planet's all in retrograde. Best of all my plans got a mistakes. It's not
Is that out there? Desert Hot Springs?
There's our truck. The gallery. The commodes.
down this road.
I took that picture.
It's gonna take me
Oh, that was a great.
No hat, no cattle.
Right. Cats. I'm hurting cats here. I could just put my dad's ashes there. I brought my dad's ashes
The
with me.
rattlesnake is sure is. That's me.
Is that at the end of the program?
It's after the marchers got him. They ate him alive.
Track of what's going on.
It's all funny.
The covenant unraveled and the
Ethan.
pulls along. I can feel my memory letting go. Some to it.
That is in the Zuni.
Say when you
Yep.
did more ill. Citizens United on the Gulf War spill.
I had to scout.
Way down this
Shira.
road.
Oh, funny.
That's perfect.
It's gonna take where I'm bound.
Matt walked barefooted with crutches most of the way across the entire country. That's the old Route 66. That's the one over the Continental Divide, Route 66. Or not the Continental Divide. No, we walked out into Colorado. They said if we walked the year before, we couldn't have done it because of the
It's never been that hard to buy a gun. Now they'll sell a Glock 19 to just
One of
about
those 6 days of
anyone.
storms.
Yeah, those clouds did look menacing.
And what we feel we have the right to bear. To watch our children come to harm. They're in the safety of our arms.
That's funny. That one is funny.
That's the joint she was talking about.
That's big.
Yep.
That's the hill. I picked it up 12
And-
hours later.
No kidding. That's that one.
That's the damage.
Yeah, it's
That-
dense
this was
because
a-
it's so
we just
dense.
had a tornado come through, too.
So skinny I got.
And he got it. He shaved his head to raise money. We did a whole
We're bound.
shave the marker.
I shaved my head. It cost me money.
I made that sign. Still have that one, Walking Beauty. But we've lost a lot of the other signs.
Yeah,
David.
yeah,
I have it back in my car.
yeah. The Des Moines march to the Capitol. You know, I brought some signs
Yeah.
and I didn't get any of those. Some of those back, but I don't care.
Well, I might have them in the back of
The
my car.
Mississippi there.
If anybody has a picture of me emceeing from the Capitol in Des Moines,
think
I
I
would
do.
love
I
a
think I-
picture.
I think I do.
Because I was always behind somebody when
Chicago.
I know I have it on video because I.
That's the one. That's the woman who made it. Across, and didn't miss one step. 71 years old. Oh yeah. Kathy. I did that sign too, and then
Yep.
some old artist did that. Those disappeared. That was the path
Gary.
that I took you guys down. I'm the
thanks.
logistics
Thanks.
director. Because from both ends, it looked fine. I just didn't check out the middle.
That was the one accident we had. The gal was hit with
See? No vest.
crushed.
No vest. Proof. Poor guy. I felt sorry for him. Thank goodness she was okay. Anna Marie, Sean. Do you have any pictures of the commodes?
There was one there earlier, but it was kind of fat. Hey, I might take it out. Let me see. That's the path I walked the last 40 miles. All over there.
Nice job. That's a great picture.
Just before you round the corner to the White House.
Oh, wow. Nice job.
Yeah, Al Gore. Okay.
That little thing.
737.
If they get everything out else on, you can have enough oil left for your 737.
Oh
Okay, you
my
ready?
God,
Here's
Yeah, thank you.
There you
Everything
go. We're
else.
saving it just for the.
here's the
sunset.
trailer. Will the video, the documentary will be in.
This is exciting because I haven't seen this before.
You got a
This is the
you have
third
a cameo
one they've done,
appearance.
isn't it?
Yes, and it's the best one too. I'm glad they got it down to it.
I'm going to be walking across the country with a group of people who passionately want to save this planet.
If I get to be like 20 or something and become a mother, will my children survive? And if they have children, will they survive?
As scientists, our job is to look at things analytically and objectively, and one of the problems with climate change research is that you can't point your finger at any specific event and say, that's climate change, be scared.
Is this part of
I
the
think
walk?
global warming's a real issue, but my view is it's a problem that can be fixed. It's a problem we can really work on and make a difference. Our idea was to make solar cheaper. What we really want to be is cheaper than a lump of coal. I've been looking for something to do that I felt could really make a difference, and suddenly, well, why not do a march? We're kind of the Paul Revere of the climate movement right now.
Actually,
Here I
it was
am.
William Bass. But that's okay.
That's my camera.
No, is that you there?
Right here.
Is that you? In that mile hat?
I had a winter, cold. They haven't had it.
I think my parents are worried about, of course, me getting arrested. I want them to be proud of me. I'm doing this for them. I'm doing this for everybody.
The Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act, the Endangered Species Act, why did they happen? They happened because 20 million Americans got into the street.
We were there. We took a break from our march.
Where is he?
That was the People's Climate March in New York.
100,000 people.
Yeah, I watched the live stream of that.
It's a bit scary, but also kind of exhilarating and fun. Action, doing whatever I can, making my steps and my life count for something that's bigger than me, that's more important than me.
I'm Irish. My grandparents and their parents were persecuted for hundreds of years, and they never gave up. It may look hopeless to you, but you can't give up.
It's good to be scared sometimes when there's actually something to be scared about.
This is when they occupy Wall Street, right?
Yeah, that was the bull that was the central focus,
Able to come together.
as well as the New York Stock Exchange
To be
itself.
willing to live together for so long for the same cause. It's incredible to me.
Somebody said yesterday, you don't lose until you quit.
That'll be out next year.
That's
Next
well
year.
done.
Yeah, they're still
Yay.
he's about halfway done filming it. So
So what this film crew had started out with the march, and then they left, and then
well, they were with us the whole. Well, they left
no,
for a short
because
bit.
I didn't know
short
we
bit,
had a
yeah.
film crew when I came on as the logistics director, and all of a sudden there's these cameras around in camp, and Lala and I had dropped something, and it just went scattered, and the camera guy was just like this. He didn't care whether we were hurt or I'm like, who? Okay, now who are these people? And so I finally introduced, and I was like, he's not reaching down to help. This is something different. So they wanted, and that at that point, all the marchers had literally walked through their blisters. When I came on the march, I saw Miriam's feet, and I literally thought she was going to the hospital, and half these marchers were not going to finish because you could actually see almost to the bone of their feet. It was horrendous to see how they walked through it, but they kept working with moleskin and building it up, and honestly, they walked through them. I could not believe it. I was really, really impressed with what.
Yeah, mine wasn't blisters; it was plantar fasciitis.
But the film crew missed all that, and they wanted to recreate. They missed a lot of the drama, and here we are. When they came, we were having a wonderful walk, and they said, "Well, we need to kind of recreate some
more."
Like, no, we're not going to recreate any. But so what they've decided to do is put a couple of the marchers, put a film crew person with us full time. Then, so they finally got smart with that. just so they could
Well,
catch
thanks,
all the
thanks for coming, everyone, and again, if you
Thanks, Ed.
have a donation over there, if you want to buy a shirt here, and spread the word.
How much are the bags?
The bags were $20 too, so. But
You
can
made
have
it easy.
You probably,
Easy now.
you probably earned one. Thank you, Jeff, for hosting.
If you have a grandchild,
None of those are cat size. I have a cat.
Most likely
yeah,
is
yeah, we should have a little animal like.
And keep your eye on
No, you're welcome.
what was now in Plaza, now Coles Commons, and the Peace Garden down there.
I walked through there the other day.
What'd you think of it?
That's nice, I like that.
I think,
Are they back to doing that again?
you mean working on the garden?
No, the piece is that done yet? I haven't really taken a look. I've only taken a look from the side, from the Locust Street side. I haven't gone all the way
A lot
around.
of people working on it right now, it's really a beehive of activity.
Yeah, I mean, that displays food, not bombs. Yeah, we used to feed in Nolan Plaza, and then we set up on the north side of the Capitol Square building. But then when that area, that part of the sidewalk in front of that side of the building right at the corner got taken away, then we shifted location.
You got time, I think, just a little
Do you know
short
what?
walk
Where we
there.
were painting,
It's really a
where I was painting today was on the deck of an Urbandale
Oh, yeah?
past 128th and Merle, what is it called? Meredith. And I'm like, we walk out right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you follow. Oh, okay.
Anybody else come in?
They're talking.
Figures. I decided to come out here. I got my light on.
When I first acquired the fire station back in 1980, there were houses around here. It was the first area, and it was over in hill area, and they tore all the houses down and made what they called a human services campus. And so we have a United Way building, this is the Meatback Community College campus. At one time, the blood privilege in this building, and went back to outgrew that building, so the college took it.
This is just a little extra. Little fun thing.
Right in the shadow of the Holiday Inn.
That's a Holiday Inn. It's a hotel.
There's a committee called the Iowa Peace Monument Committee. And they were trying to make a statement. There's so many memorials to war.
Sure.
And we wanted to have more emphasis on peace.
Here, here.
Back in 1978, the Catholic bishop was Monsignor.
Oh, yes.
And the rabbi, the big temple, was Rabbi J. Goldberg.
Okay.
And they were instrumental. They were the ones who convinced the city that should be a peace garden downtown. So it was put in Allen Plaza. The peace garden has been under threat when they redid it. The Civic Center actually has control of that, and they weren't going to have the peace garden, but we succeeded in keeping it.
This is
This is actually, there are three doves that are flying. Can you see the dove's head coming down over here?
Yeah.
It's called Path of Peace, made out of Indiana Bedford limestone, the same material City Hall's
I have
made
to
out of.
turn it, point it
It's
up so you
also
can see the
the
top of it.
state capitol. Got Insdale sculpture, and here you can see the dove here is pretty prominent. See it coming up here in the wind. Do you have trouble seeing the nose?
I got that one.
Okay.
Yeah, it's,
Nice.
yeah.
How many times I go down that street
Is
and I
this
never
native
did.
prairie grass around here? Is this like native prairie?
That's right. But
Yeah.
the college
This-
wants to have all native grasses and not have to mow and so on.
Right.
I'm not sure. This is
Beautiful.
buffalo grass primarily.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And clover.
Well, some of it is starting to green up.
See
Yeah, they
the
haven't
doves
had a
coming
prairie
down here.
Oh
Yeah, I'll point up at the
3 doves.
and the moon next to it. Swiss cheese bench.
This is very well done. I'm so glad you
Yeah.
brought us out here because, you know, I haven't been here for many years too, and I didn't even know this was here.
Yeah, he is on the other
Let's
side.
see. The best place to come in is over here, actually. There's a path here.
Oh, we're going somewhere else?
We're going back to fire station to a different route.
Oh,
So
okay.
the couple was pretty.
This is I-235 that we're next to. This is the other side of the old fire station. My light is still on, but I'm getting some ambient light, but I'm keeping my light on until I get back inside. So these are the garage doors of the fire station. This is just lawn right here. It's a little pond there.
That's the skyline of Des Moines.
Yeah.
Do you notice you didn't hear the traffic inside, or did you hear it?
No, it's very good sound barrier here.
And I was at Getty Museum in Los Angeles about 2-3 weeks ago, and took that tour. And the architectural tour, at one point, the guide said, "I want you to close your eyes." And of course, there's a big interstate going right along the side of the Getty Museum. It's like I-235. Close your eyes and imagine you're at the ocean beach, and you'll hear the breakers, the waves coming in. And it does come very closely, doesn't it?
Close enough that you can use it.
For sanity purposes.
Anybody wants to